So these are the common names. Hopefully everyone has heard. Besides this, there are few services which are also civil services, and they are, some of you might have heard, some may not. So you can see audit and account service, civil account service, railway traffic service, railway accounts, railway personnel. And in this manner, there are nearly 25 services in the group of civil services. One common knowledge, there is no separate exam for each services. The examination is regarded as civil services examination, right? Conducted by UPSC. Now it depends upon the rank of the candidate which service will be allotted, right? So a group of 25 services called civil services. Now first 20 minutes of our discussion will be very factual, then we will go ahead with the analysis, which is more important, but some facts at first. Now some basic understanding about the civil services. Civil services constitutes the governing machinery of the country, and governance is for the purpose of regulating the behavior of citizens of various entities. Governance at broad can be of two types, political and administrative. In order to be part of political governance, almost every one of us understand that there is a need to contest election. But do you need to contest election in order to join IAS? Certainly not. The rules of procedure are different here. So those who aspire to join administrative governing machinery of the country, they are required to participate in an examination, right? And the examination is called Civil Services Examination at the national level, conducted by UPSC. Besides services of central level, there are civil services which are recruited by a state recruiting agency, which we call State Public Service Commission. In West Bengal, it is West Bengal Public Service Commission. In almost in every state, there is one service commission, right? You may draw a difference between what is the difference between a service which is given to those who qualify this UPSC Civil Services Examination and those who write and qualify State Civil Services Examination. There is a difference, of course. As per the system of governance operating in our country, the top ranks at every level of governance, be it at district level, be it at local government level, be it at state level, of course at central level, is occupied by the administrative officers recruited through Civil Services Examination of UPSC. So as an IAS, after completion of training, the person is given the designation which you know, district collector, district magistrate, deputy commissioner, by various names as it is called, right? Similarly for other services, if it is IPS, if it is IRS, railway services and so on. But an officer who is selected through state civil services will get a rank which is of course lower than the officials of central services, also called All India Services. We are not going into technicalities. Now, the rank is lower. They grow through promotions, through career advancement, and this makes a big difference that a civil service officer recruited through state civil service body will rise in the capacity after nearly 15 or 20 years of service, which a person joining through UPSC Civil Services gets an immediate job, right? So of course there is a difference, and an opportunity is given to youngsters in our country who has completed certain age, let's say 21 years of age, to participate and appear in the exam. We will come to the point, what about the syllabus of these two different organizations of government, right? Let us go ahead. So UPSC Civil Services Examination is an annual event. Every year the examination is conducted. Now some eligibility criteria. And first is in terms of the educational qualification. A student who wish to write the exam must have the degree or equivalent qualification. Now degree is simple to understand. The person must have completed in the traditional system of education BA, BCom, BSc, etc. Or nowadays we focus on career. So we are not concentrating on academic qualification. Rather we want some technical and professional qualification that gives us a career. So we concentrate right after the schools and we prepare for examination like engineering and we get a degree BTech. Aspirants becomes doctor by qualifying MBBS and other disciplines. So both are graduate or equivalent, right? This is an important understanding. Now another requirement is, now one more thing here, UPSC do not ask for any previous performance either at school or college level. UPSC is not influenced if you are topper throughout. UPSC is also not negatively assessing you if you have not been performing during the schools or colleges. So what is the requirement? No minimum grade or marks is the requirement at school or college level. It means it is the evaluation of the candidate through this exam only. Now we will come to the part of syllabus, right? Another criteria is in terms of age. Minimum 21 years of life must be completed, whereas at the max 32 years of life, which is relaxable for some categories of candidate belonging to OBC, scheduled caste, scheduled tribe, physically handicapped, etc. Right? Now, although from 21 to 32, 12 years of life, but you cannot write 12 attempts. At the most, a candidate can write 6 attempts, which is once again relaxed for reserved category candidate, which you can see here, some 9 attempts and so on, right? Now come to the exam. Now we may summarize here. One who has completed 21 years of age but has not crossed 32 years is eligible to write in the exam, participate in the exam, subject to reservation and specified criteria. Now come to the exam part. At the end, you may have the opportunity to ask certain questions. The exam is conducted in certain stages, and these are called consecutive or successive stages. Preliminary, main and finally the interview. Now why we call successive? Because a candidate must qualify all the 3 stages in that very year. If a candidate having cleared preliminary, also cleared main, appeared for interview but was not found suitable and could not get a job, he cannot appear at the interview level once again. He has to start from the beginning. That is, in the very next year or next to next year, whenever he or she thinks of writing, he should write from preliminary level, right? So 3 stages. Now what about preliminary exam? The preliminary exam consists of 2 papers which is called General Studies and Civil Services Aptitude Test. These are the 2 papers. Preliminary exam is of MCQ type and negative marking for wrong answers A latest development since last year, this paper number 2 called CSET is now only qualifying by nature. The marks is not added in the merit. A candidate having secured 33% marks in the paper will be qualifying provided he secures the merit in the first paper. Right? We will come to the point, the detailed syllabus of it. Right? Next. Another stage of the exam is the main exam. And the purpose of this preliminary is to screen out the candidates depending upon the vacancies. Right? So those who are able to qualify the preliminary will be allowed to advance to the next stage, that is the main exam. And unlike the preliminary exam, which is an MCQ exam, main exam is the written type exam. Right? So university type exam, you have to write the answers at length depending upon and adhering to the word limits prescribed. We will discuss a lot about all these things in the next part, that is analysis. First we are filling up ourselves with the facts. Right? And very important to understand that the purpose of the exam is to check the intellectual capacity and the understanding about the issues contained in the syllabus. This is not at all the test of memory power, how far the person is better in memorizing the content of the syllabus and answering the given questions. Right? We will come to this part, and certainly not memory and range of informations. Further, now come to the syllabus for main exam. Here also we can classify some qualifying papers which are language papers. So one Indian language out of the list of language candidate has to select, and another is English language. Both these papers are merely qualifying, and the student is expected not to commit blunders in using the language. Questions are very easy up to class 10 level. Right? UPSC is not interested to test your literature capacity. Right? It is merely to test the language is proper. You can use proper grammar. You can use proper sentences while writing the given answers. So, not important part, but here the next story starts. So, some merit papers. Papers which are reckoned in the performance, and they are a paper of essay carrying 250 marks, and 4 papers of GS 250 marks each. Merit papers. We are using the term GS, but so far we have not analyzed. Right? I told you in advance that analysis part will follow. Just wait for 5 more minutes. Besides, the UPSC want you to choose one paper at the main level which is called an optional subject, and it carries 500 marks divided into 2 papers, 250 marks each, one subject to be chosen by the candidate out of the list of a given subjects. Right? These papers, the students have no choice. GS at preliminary level, CSAT at preliminary level, essay and 4 papers of GS at main level. Common and compulsory, irrespective of the background, irrespective of the choice, the content of this syllabus has to be prepared and has to be appeared in these papers. Whereas an optional subject is the only part where the student has a choice. He can choose one subject out of the list of nearly 55 subjects, right? And this total constitutes 1750 marks. And the last part of this examination we have noted is a conversation with a board in New Delhi Shahjahan Road UPSC house. So the interview, which carries 275 marks, right? Purpose of preliminary is to select few candidates who can advance to the main stage. Purpose of main is to select a certain number of types of vacancies out of the total candidates who are writing the main exam to appear for interview, and finally the marks obtained in the main level and marks obtained in the interview is aggregated to prepare the selection list, and thus some students are able to secure seats whereas others are not selected, right? And this completes the process of recruitment. Now come to the analysis part, which gives us proper understanding about what is this examination, what shall be the method, what shall be our attitude towards the examination, what shall be our methodology towards preparation throughout the time we choose to prepare. Now, content of the syllabus. Content of the syllabus. At so many places we have mentioned GS, GS. 100% of the preliminary examination is GS because CSAT is only qualifying. You must agree. 100% of the preliminary examination is general studies, whereas CSAT is only qualifying, right? 1750 and 250 multiplied by 5 is equal to 1250. What is the percentage 1250 of 1750? Near about. This is not another arithmetic calculation, exact calculation is not required. If you can calculate, you will say that slightly more than 70%, 1250 of 1750, slightly more than 70%. So we can say that 70% of main is GS, essay is nothing but GS. I have included. I will explain also why we say so. Essay in the main examination is nothing but what we call general studies. There is no difference, right? And 100% of interview is once again nothing but the general studies, right? In these two stages, you were darkening the circle, you were writing the exam, and you are talking with a purpose in mind, right? The board is talking to you, is conversating with a purpose in mind. The purpose is to check your suitability as a civil servant, how far you could be successful if you are chosen for public service. But in the entire mechanism operates at one thing. They want to check that what is your intellectual capacity and understanding about the issues, right? Now, any logical conclusion can be derived here that one who is planning to prepare for the examination must sincerely undertake the responsibility to prepare for what is called general studies. Right? Because if at all some role is given to what is called a subject, it is lesser than 30%. You cannot qualify prelims if you don't have very good command over GS. Certainly not. You cannot perform in main if you are not intellectually correct about the issues at the main level. Certainly you will be rejected by the board of competent observers if you cannot give the impression that whatever questions are put forth, I understand them and these are my opinions and viewpoint about the issues. Right? Now come to what is GS, because we have used the term so many times. Now what is GS? How it develops your intellectual abilities, how it contributes to understanding part, and what is the syllabus for that? So the syllabus for GS we can enumerate by saying that it includes the very first part of the syllabus in GS, one component called history. You may be a person from different background. You may have science during your college time, right? During your plus 2 time. You have studied history only till the school was over, matriculation level, the secondary level. But UPSC has given you a requirement that irrespective of whatever you have done so far, you must read some history. And the purpose of reading here, irrespective of the component, history or any other part, what is the purpose? You should bear in mind the focus to develop intellectual abilities, to understand the thing in the right perspective of it, and no need to memorize, including history I am talking. History is generally perceived to be memorizing time, place and person. In fact, not so. The best historian in the present time, if you heard particular name, are those who are good analyzer,